when you look at people who have responsibilities in a religious organization, it can be tricky to get answers as to or make conclusions on what's most appropriate, like how much you should be expecting from the attendees of your church. But in the interest of making it more legitimate, shall we say, it's going to require some membership. You know, it's going to require some people to have a basic level of members only type of sense where certain people are, and this has to go hand in hand with the idea of if there's somebody who's like the head of the church, or sacred, you know, space, however it's called, you know, mosque, whoever's responsible for that, it's kind of like they're not authority over the people, but they're authority over the space and people who or it's more like the name of it. It's like it's like belonging to, if your doctor is of a certain hospital, it's like you're gonna want that person to be, the patience of the doctor. That's how you look at the quality of the doctor. It's like, how well are their patients doing? And just the same, it's like, what's the success of the members of the church? Are their lives, are they doing well in life? Do they have optimism? Do they seem happy? Are their relationships have functional dynamics? And are they trustworthy? And that's something I'm really leaning on, and even healthy. I mean, the whole point of a quote unquote religion is it's supposed to be prescriptions for life. And a lot of people just see religion as like this description of like a description of like, oh, you so and so, this and that, this my God is this, or that's the Bible, this is our book and everything. But the question is, what are the prescriptions? Like, what are the rituals that seem to be necessary for being functional in that religion, right? So but basically, essentially, you're looking at what it's an accountability thing. The best way to interpret this is by looking at I think it's like the Mormons. They have like an official documentation and accounting of who's a member of the church. It gets harder to when the structure is broader and it's not like a quote unquote non-denominational church where it's only one single church, and it's not doesn't have a hierarchy of sister churches or a leadership. But and then there's like the financial aspect of it. It's like, how much do you pay somebody for being a responsible managing influence in an organization? That's a factor too, because if it gets to be too high, or the building cost gets to be more expensive, if there's more members, then that's going to put pressure on the church to be less strict, like allow premarital intimacy, have be more lenient on whatever the initial expectations of the church were. So it's tricky. It's tricky because it's a balancing act, but at the same time, there should be minimum expectations of each person. And so that starts off with things like I was saying, like diet, but I also like a documentation, like is somebody inputting data that yes, they did a prayer, once a day, or they, some type of record keeping of that they're doing their rituals, like at the time. So it's not like they're like filling out the whole activity log at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, and just filling in all the times like as if they did it all at once, but rather you fill it in at the specific time. And I'm sure there's an app that it can be helpful for that. But factually, it's a question of minimum expectations. And so I think one of them, just like what was introduced in the Orthodox, which is like the more formal variations of any given nation or practice, that's the more stricter variant, then that's going to give you clues as to what should be minimum expectations. For me, one of them is avoiding premarital intimacy. And the reason that to me that's so important is because, when you look at a religious, you're gonna, and then specifically those who belong to a specific location and the exact church of it, it's trickier when there's like, church, there has to be core things, like even if it's a mosque or even if it's like a Jewish temple, there still has to be like base level like requirements. And so my invitation is for us to look into these things. Yeah. I So that's the concept there. It's like, what are we? You know, what are people going to perceive the people that belong to that organization as? Are they going to be perceived as being, say, things like healthy or trustworthy or financially responsible? Or so that's why it's really a major thing to, take on the role of a quote unquote religious. But that's my thought there. Thanks for listening. Let's talk. Aloha.